Hey, it's Matt here. Not too long ago, I made a video, and it was me walking by a part of Palmerston where they had this lovely little community library. There wasn't anything particularly insane going on there. I just thought it was lovely that there was a community library. I thought it was a good, authentic expression of the local culture. So, since I've done that, anytime you mention white in a sentence, you get accused of racism of some sort. And that's I am kind of frustrated about that because that video's intention was the opposite of that. It was about racism against people who are white. Um, the point of it was to highlight that there is a culture associated with upper middle class people, which I am not a member of that class, but it's something which I have come across. I come from the lowest middle class possible, more privileged than others, but certainly not as privileged as the people who I've met whilst practicing in healthcare. Um, the purpose of it was to highlight that, hey, this is a people group. They have something. They have a culture. They have developed something. It's interesting. It's worth celebrating. It wasn't about demeaning them. It wasn't about demeaning anyone. It was the opposite. It was about highlighting that this is a people group. Now, I have lived in an incredibly multicultural environment for a very long time. And I'm going to talk to you about a guy called John, and not the John who I mentioned in a video in Horrors of the NDIS Part 2, but a John who lived in this building here. Right? This is my home. It's a share house. Most of the people here are not white. I'm the only white guy who lives here. I just let that siren play and move on. Yeah, no, I'm the only white guy who lives here. The only other white guy I've met who lived here committed suicide. He had schizophrenia. He believed that the neighbours were spying on him and they were part of the Bandidos gang, and he moved all across Australia. Right? All my housemates are either Nigerian or of Indian or Pakistani descent. I get along with all of them. I'm friends with all of them. But I'm going to talk to you about the story of John, because it's a story about multiculturalism, and it's a story about how I was able to get a community together which was of different groups, because I understood the cultural elements which hold people together. Okay? Again, remember, if someone calls me a racist, I'll fucking knock your head in, you cunt. Right? You're a fuckwit. Now, when John killed himself, all my housemates at the time were, one was Indian, one was not Pakistani, Bangladeshi, right? They were Hindus. They had this belief in, bad vibes when someone dies. And when someone kills themselves, and what happened is that John, he overdosed on sleeping pills and he locked himself in his room, that when someone dies of unnatural causes, well, that means that they've caused evil spirits to come into their house. I'm not a religious person. I'm an atheist. I live by a lot of Buddhist principles to varying degrees of success, and I appreciate religions as something which it gives people values and gives people a structure to live their life by. I don't ever try and take people's beliefs away from them. And when this happened, I understood that these people were having experiences which were authentic and very real to them. And what I did is that we found out the religion of John, myself and the landlady, and she's as white as they come, but she gets along very well with these people from different cultures. She's Finnish. I've learned a lot about their culture as well. Now, John was his religion was Baptist Christianity, right? So I can't get a Hindu priest to come in culturally, because that's not appropriate, and the people I'm living in their house agree that's not appropriate. So what I do is I start, and remembering I'm not a Christian, I start ringing all the Christian pastors in Canberra who identify as Baptist until I can find one. who's willing to come here and do a multicultural ritual. And he's like, okay, look, I'm not a Hindu. I can't get rid of the bad vibes by just, playing some special words or whatever. I kind of wish he was like Russian Orthodox priest or something, because they got that sick, specter thing, censer thing, I think that's what it's called, where they get the incense and they go through a place. That would have been pretty cool if that could have happened. But no, he's Baptist. He's the most boring denomination of Christianity possible. And what we do is that we get our Baptist priest in here, and he gives us a Bible bashing. He reads out he reads out some verses, and when I say Bible bashing, I mean it is actually a Bible bashing. It's not like a sick sermon or anything, but he did it, right? And he was a good bloke for doing that, right? And we had KFC, the landlady, myself, and my 2 Hindu housemates. We had KFC together, and that's how we got rid of the evil spirits from our home. Remembering I don't believe in these evil spirits, but to my housemates they exist, right? And my job as a person who is involved in psychology and community leadership is to make sure the people around me are taken care of. That's the big thing. If they have a spiritual crisis, right, my job isn't to change their fundamental beliefs about the world, right? As a person who cares about these people of different cultures and beliefs and works with them where they're at, my job is to, relieve suffering, reduce, an accounting equation. My job is to remove gross suffering from the world, okay? And if that means that I work with someone's beliefs, which to me make no sense, but they make sense because I understand the culture and the things behind it. But to me, are based on a view of the world which I think is, doesn't make any sense at all. Just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean I don't work with it, and doesn't mean I don't value it, right? So my actions are not in line with someone who's racist or has a superiority about white culture or anything. My video was when I looked at that little community library and that little community garden, was more intended as a means of highlighting that, hey, there's a culture, there are ideas here. Just because these people are white doesn't mean their culture isn't valuable or interesting, right? We have multicultural festivals and things like that, but anytime we talk about a cultural thing and we relate it to an ethnicity such as culturally white Australians, we immediately go, oh, that's not good. And it's conditioned into us because we've grown up in a society which has had the opposite problem of that. We've had the issues of violence against black people and violence against minorities by white people who have been the majority in the past anyway. Now, my point is that people from my generation have been conditioned like this, don't need to think like that. I hate this idea of white guilt. I certainly support people being culturally aware and being careful of how they treat people from different cultures and being informed about it. But just because you're white doesn't mean you don't have a culture, right? And you don't need to feel shit just because of the color of your skin. And that was the point of that video. It wasn't supporting racism, it was against racism, right? And I don't want to be persecuted based on my skin tone. And that's something which I have experienced as a result of making that video, which was in no way marginalizing of any people group, yet it is perceived like that, right? And that fucking pisses me off, right? If you don't want people to become white supremacists or racist, how about you act in a way which doesn't marginalize them based on their skin tone? I'll never be that, but that's what happens when you marginalize white people and say they don't have a culture, right? The way we need to move forward is to understand the dynamics at play and act accordingly, right? White people are a people group. Caucasians are a people group. Anglo-Australians are a people group. They have a culture. Parts of it are beautiful. They have been oppressors in the past, but we need to get past that, right? And I'm not interested in white hate. End of discussion today.